All right, here we go. I think we're here. I think we're going good. Let me get my camera nice and straightened out here. There we go. What is good, everyone? What is good? As you can see, we got myself. We got Hunter. You guys know Hunter. He's been on here a couple times. But how you guys doing? We
Yeah,
decided. Good.
no, I was saying, y'all know Hunter, y'all know me.
But yeah, we decided to come on. Actually, this was Hunter's idea, so shout out to him. We decided to do this and said, you know what, we'll go for it. So obviously, we're going to kind of react to a lot of what's going on. There's still 22 minutes left in the trade deadline. Obviously, there will be some news that probably will come out a little bit after, so we'll see. But we decided, say, fuck it, let's go and do this. So, and for some reason, my title never changed. None of my stuff ever changed here, so I gotta.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, while you're doing that, I can take it for a little bit. But I mean, like you said, I mean, this has been one of the craziest trade deadlines in a while, if ever. I think there's been a bunch of moves today, and I think a lot of it has to do with the parity in the NFL right now. I mean, there is no clear-cut team. I mean, yes, the Eagles are undefeated. They look awesome. Yes, the Bills are the Bills. The Chiefs, maybe Minnesota as well, those four teams. But I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, there's no team that's really separated themselves from the rest of the pack that looks like, oh, we're going to go to the Super Bowl easily. I mean, there are teams, like Miami. We saw Miami make the big deal today for Bradley Chubb. I mean, Miami's going for it. We saw Minnesota make the trade for TJ Hawkinson. They're going for it. I mean, there's teams going for things. There's teams kind of blowing things up, kind of, trying to restart. I mean, we saw Pittsburgh, your Steelers make a couple of trades today as well. So, I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, this is, we have a lot to get into. And I mean, not to mention, I mean, there's still 20 minutes left. I mean, something could still happen.
I know for
Um,
you and your team, I know your fan base has been hoping for something to happen.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, nothing's going to happen. I mean, it's looking like it. I mean, I think the only thing that could happen in these last 20 minutes are possibly that we trade Kareem Hunt. But other than that, I'm not expecting anything because I kind of think they've kind of given up on this year. Not given up, but, think that, they're not, it's not necessary to make moves. Um, I don't know. I think that when you really look at it from our standpoint, I mean, with Deshaun Watson coming back in a couple of weeks, what can you really do? You don't want to trade for a defensive tackle that's going to be a rental, and trade draft capital that you already don't really have. Um, so, I see the Browns staying put, like I said, unless it's trading either Kareem Hunt, Greedy Williams, or Jack Conklin. But I think Kareem is the most likely. I think the Browns are going to try wait till the last minute to see if they can get maybe a third round pick out of somebody. I don't think they will. But I mean, if they don't get at least a fourth, I could see Kareem staying put. So we'll see what happens in these next 19, 20 minutes. It'll be interesting to see. And of course, we know trades can go on after the deadline's over with as long as they're done by 4 o'clock. So we'll see. So yeah, where do you want to start?
I mean, so first off, we got a comment from Zach the Potato. He said he's something about the Jags, which obviously the Jags did just recently make a move. That's one of the more recent moves here in the last little bit was for Calvin Ridley, which we all know is a guy that's been he was suspended for the year for the gambling and for the betting, which
Which ironically, looking at it, Calvin Ridley was suspended for gambling for betting that his old team, the Falcons, would beat his new team, the Jaguars. So that's pretty funny. Um, but yeah, looking at that trade, I mean, I think I I liked it. Here's the thing with Jacksonville, and you look at these quarterbacks in the past, and you look at Tua. Tua makes the leap when he gets Tyreek Hill. Josh Allen makes the leap when he gets Stephon Diggs. Jalen Hurts when he gets AJ Brown. When you get these young quarterbacks, these good receivers, they make strides. and they look a lot better. You can't surround these young quarterbacks. Obviously, you see that with Justin Fields right now. But when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, when it comes to signing Christian Kirk to that huge deal in the offseason, and now they're like, okay, let's go out and get Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, when healthy, is and when on the field, is a very good wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very good. So, I mean, you have a receiver corps now of Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk going into next year. You still have Evan Ingram. There's another receiver I'm probably just not thinking of right now. You have Travis Etienne has just solidified himself as RB1, and in his first game as RB1 ran for almost 160 yards. I mean, this Jaguars team next year is a lot to be excited about. I think they're doing a great job right now of putting talent around Trevor Lawrence on that offense. So, I think next year could be the year we could see that leap from Trevor Lawrence, and I did like that move. It was surprising though. I didn't really expect that. I don't think anybody did. But
here's what's ironic in what you just kind of said when it comes to Trevor Lawrence. We had this conversation earlier in a FaceTime call. You look at the trend of a lot of these quarterbacks over the last little bit, where you have Tua in his third year. He's made a stride after they got a big time receiver. Same with Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs. The same with I keep on drawing blanks today. There was another one in the last year or so that got a receiver in their third year and they looked pretty damn good.
That wasn't Tua or Hurts.
Huh?
It wasn't Tua or Hurts.
No, I mentioned Tua. Hurts is another one. They put some weapons around him. I mean, you look at what they did. Obviously, they did to my Steelers.
It wasn't Kyler getting Hopkins, was it?
No, but that's another interesting. Kyler's a weird story, honestly.
Oh, it was probably Burrow getting Chase. But I mean, that's not. That was drafted.
It wasn't him. But regardless, we've noticed this trend of quarterbacks taking that next step when they actually go and get themselves a solidified receiver. And
I'm going to find it because it's going to make me mad.
And now, obviously, we all know what Calvin Ridley can do when he's on the field, when he's not gambling. So we know what he can do. And I think that's the one thing that's going to be very nice for Trevor Lawrence is to just continue to add on and give him more weapons for his development, honestly, because we all know what Doug Peterson could do. Doug Peterson as a head coach, we all know he's won a Super Bowl. So he has that on his resume. So I think that's always a nice thing to have when you're trying to develop your future quarterback. And obviously with Trevor Lawrence, he's one of those guys that we always heard about him being generational. So at the end of the day, what do you try to do with those guys? You try to give them as many weapons as you possibly can. And that's what they did again with the Jags, because we know they went dumb in free agency this year. They went out and they got a lot of pieces. They went and bought a lot of pieces.
Yeah, I mean, they've spent the most money in the NFL over the last decade. I think, I don't know. I think, and then there's another thing I'm kind of reading too about the whole Brian Burns thing, about him getting traded or him possibly getting traded. I think, again, when you look at Jacksonville, I mean, I like what Trent Baalke's doing down there. Like you said, he's not afraid to spend money. It's more so the fact that when you have a guy like I said, like Trent Baalke, that will go out and spend the money, does it work half the time, most of the time? No, not really. But I mean, you have a guy that's willing to do it, and I love that. He's willing to go out and spend. And Calvin Ridley is an interesting case. I mean, for what they got for him, a fifth and a fourth that could possibly turn into a second or third, just depending on, I like the move. I kind of, obviously this is going to be really cliche and people will think this, but I wish maybe the Browns would have thought about that. If it was going to be a fourth and a fifth like that. We'll see. For
you guys talking about the Browns here for just a second, that trade for Amari Cooper, when obviously you had to take on that money, but what he's done so far for you guys with Jacoby Brissett has been nothing short of incredible.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And like you said, I mean, it looks better day by day. I mean, you guys just got a second rounder for Chase Claypool. I mean,
Which will one thing I do want to say is obviously this Thursday at 6 p.m. Go and check out. We got to confirm my boy Caleb, my co-host Caleb will be on this week along with Jared. We're all going to be on. It's going to be the trifecta. We're all going to be discussing that more. We'll get their reaction to that. I'll give my opinion a little bit on it. Then we'll obviously discuss it more on Thursday on the Renegade Roundtable podcast. But yeah, we'll get to the Chase Claypool stuff here shortly because there's a lot of deals to discuss. But yeah, I mean, when you look at it from the Falcons' perspective, I mean, cool. You weren't going to re-sign him, so at the end of the day,
right.
you go and you get something for him, which is something that I've been saying for you guys when it comes to Kareem Hunt. If you're not going to re-sign Kareem Hunt, instead of just letting him walk in free agency and getting nothing for him, you might as well try to get at least something. Because right now, I don't know exactly what picks you guys don't have, but it's not that many. So you want to try to recoup as many picks as you possibly can. And I mean, at the end of the day, you would rather do that than lose him. Now it's a different story if you're maybe 4-3 or 5-2. Now it's a different story because now you're trying to make a push, especially with Deshaun Watson coming back. But right now, I mean, you're 3-5. It's a little tough because you have the bye, and then what is it, Miami, and then Buffalo.
Yeah.
Which Miami, they've made a couple they went out and got Bradley Chubb. They went out and got themselves a running back. So that's gonna be looking tough. So,
Well, yeah, and let's kind of start let's go back to the top here because I think the first big trade of the day was kind of a stunner that we didn't really expect, and that was the Detroit Lions trading tight end T.J. Hawkinson within the division to the Minnesota Vikings. And I'll be honest with you, nobody saw him getting traded, and nobody saw him getting traded to the Minnesota Vikings, who just lost their starting tight end Irv Smith for 8 to 10 weeks.
Yep.
I kind of like this move for both sides. I mean, Minnesota's standing at what, 5-1, 6-1 right now?
I think 6-1.
6-1, and I mean they're going for it this year. They have a lot of talent on offense. They have a great running back room and Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison, who've kind of underperformed this year, but I mean the talent's there nonetheless. They have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Jefferson's arguably a top 3 to 5 receiver in the NFL, and adding Hawkinson, who I believe is a top 5 to 7 tight end in the NFL, has kind of had a little bit of a down year. But I mean, nonetheless, I mean it's another target for Kirk Cousins. I really like this move for Minnesota, but I also like this move for Detroit as well, getting a second back for him. I believe they got a third back for him as well. I could be wrong. But I mean, when you look at Hawkinson, like I said, he hasn't been that player that, they thought he was going to be. He has shown flashes. Okay. I mean, he is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but.
So the Lions got back a 2023 second and a 2024 third.
Okay. So they did get a second and a third back, but he's below average in the run game. He's not a great blocker. Of course, he's a very good pass threat. And
I mean, look at the game he just had on Sunday against Miami. T.J. Hawkinson, he had himself a good game in that game, and it's just like you said, having another impact player to help out Kirk Cousins. I mean, you can't blame them for it, and you always say it's weird when you see, especially because Minnesota, if you look at it. They're like 3.5 games ahead of Green Bay, who's second in the division. So right now, Minnesota's running away with the division. Now, will they actually go to the Super Bowl? That's to be determined. That'll be depending on what Kirk Cousins is going to be like. But when you look at it, at the end of the day, you got to go for it. If you're in that situation, you go and make a push. And I mean, yeah, it's a weird thing, especially for Detroit to go and trade within division, especially. Because now that brings me up my question about it. So you're not going to pay him, and that's the reason why you traded him. I mean, if you don't think that you're close in your rebuild, like if you thought you were close, you would not want to help your division out whatsoever. So that kind of makes me wonder, like, what their philosophy was inside that front office. and like where they think they are in the rebuild phase for in that building, which seems like the rebuild has been for 55 and a half years. That's what it seems like, at least.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, it looked like, kind of where they were trending. I mean, I think maybe they're a quarterback away, obviously. They still need some pieces on defense, but I mean, offensively, this team looked good, and we've seen that through the first 8 weeks of the season. Or 8 weeks of the season, that this team is a very good offensive team. You have DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, who played solid in the backfield, with Swift missing a few games. Amon-Ra St. Brown has really developed himself as a very good receiver in the NFL. The O-line has been spectacular. And let's not forget, they have Jamison Williams probably coming back at the end of this year, who that was the first-round pick. And right now, they have the number 1 pick in the draft next year. Will that hold? We'll see. But, I mean, they could have the opportunity to add to this really good offense this year, add Bryce Young potentially, and Jamison Williams, which could even bolster this team even more. They have another – I could swear they have another first-round pick.
Here, let me pull
I
this.
could be wrong, but maybe not. But I know they have 3 picks in the top. Bless me. They have 3 picks in the top 32 or 33, I believe. Yeah, they currently hold picks 1 and 13 in the 2023 NFL draft. I'm trying. Where did they get the 13th pick? I'm trying to remember.
Right now it says that they would have the 14th pick, and let's see. No, they do not have another first-round pick this year. Yeah, because they have the Rams pick from the Jared Goff deal.
That's what it was.
So yeah, now that's all they have is just 1 in.
So they do have 2 first-round picks.
They have 2.
Okay. So yeah, and then they have this. They'll have the first pick in the second round as well.
So yeah, now when you look at it, now you're starting to build assets to where you can really go into this. Obviously, this year you went and got Aiden Hutchinson, which is when you could always go and get a good pass rusher like that, you go for it, obviously. And it seems like Aiden Hutchinson's been a guy that could be impactful. He has 4.5 sacks on the year, which, I mean, for his rookie year, okay, that's not bad at all. Obviously, you'll see improvement throughout the course of his time. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do over the course of next year's draft and in terms of free agency. I'm not sure exactly who all they have. I know Jamal Williams is a guy that should be a free agent at the end of the year. Yeah. He just had himself a great game on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. So
yeah, Jamal Williams had a solid year.
Yeah.
We are coming up on 5 minutes left.
Yep.
So I mean, it doesn't look like anything's going on right now. I'm checking Twitter to see.
I was gonna say I have Schefter's tweet notifications on. So
yeah, me too.
Which is rare for me. If y'all know, I don't ever put any notifications on. I only do it for days like this. But as we can see, we got a couple people here in the chat. What's good? How you guys doing? Let me know down below. What is your favorite team, and what is your biggest surprise and biggest thoughts on the NFL trade deadline so far? But yeah, going back, we're kind of going back before, real quick. Here's a trade that kind of impacts both of us that we haven't discussed, and this was from yesterday, I believe, was from Roquan Smith. From the Bears trading Roquan Smith to the Ravens. Obviously, you being a Browns fan, me being a Steeler fan, that's going to impact both of us because of the fact that he is a very good linebacker. And obviously, Baltimore they always find a way. They always find a way. And especially right now, with them being leaders of the division, yeah, you got to go for it. And they gave up a second and I believe a fifth. But if they lose Roquan Smith to free agency, you get a third. So it's not as big of a loss if you don't re-sign him. And on top of that, you got to be curious to see what's going to happen now with Lamar still. That's always going to be something in the back of our minds, figuring, are they actually going to pay him? Or are they just going to go with the tag, with the franchise tag? So that's gonna be a very interesting thing to watch them. But right now, Baltimore is going for it again as well.
There's a trade.
Uh-oh.
The Colts are trading Naheem Hines to the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, so the Buffalo Bills go and get their running back, which probably means that Kareem Hunt is going to stay as with the Cleveland Browns, because I think that was the team that I was always looking for the most to try to maybe trade for Kareem Hunt, especially with the way of his being dynamic in the pass game and in the run game. But instead, they go after Naheem Hines. Be interested to see what kind of compensation they gave him. I wouldn't say that much. But because I'm going to be kind of curious to see what front office members across the league thought about what the value of Kareem Hunt. I know we keep bringing him up, but I mean,
I think the only thing I can really see in these last couple minutes, if Kareem Hunt does get traded in these last 2 minutes, it would be to maybe the Philadelphia Eagles or the Los Angeles Rams.
Which is this a weird thing where it's like, I don't know how much sense it would make for the Rams to go after him, because I mean at that point then you would really have to get rid of Cam Akers, and if you're the Browns and Rams trying to do a deal, it wouldn't really necessarily make sense to do.
Jeremy Fowler just tweeted, heard throughout the day that a Kareem Hunt deal hasn't materialized in Cleveland. A few minutes left until the deadline, but would be a pretty big upset for something to happen. So it looks like Kareem Hunt is staying put in Cleveland.
Okay, so in that case,
we'll
now
see.
For your case, now you ask yourself, do they truly feel like that they can re-sign him, or is there a situation where they just decided, listen, we still believe that we could go for it, and we're just going to try our best to go in and just go for it at this point?
Yeah, I think what I'm kind of understanding, or kind of my point of view from this, is the fact that they won last night helped a lot. I think if they would have lost last night, I think Kareem Hunt would have been out of here. I think now that they're 3-5, they're 2 games out of the division now.
It is officially 4:00, so
it is officially 4:00.
As of this moment, no more deals can be made. However, you know how that goes. I mean, we discussed it. Those baseball a few years ago where Justin Verlander, that deal didn't get announced till like 4:30 or something. But yeah, as of this moment, the trade deadline is officially over with. No more trades can be made. So obviously, unless, like you said, something got announced or something, it does not look like, Kareem Hunt's going to be gone. Brandon Cooks is going to be staying. Packers did not go and get themselves a wide receiver.
Yeah, they're oof.
So that's kind of where we are at. But kind of going back and discussing a little bit more of what happened throughout the day. So obviously the first trade of the day, I believe, was the T.J. Hawkinson deal. And then after that, then that's when the Steelers and Chase Claypool to the Bears happened, where it's ironic we have a friend of ours who thinks that I'm pissed about it, but when you look at it, here's my perspective. Obviously, as a Steeler fan here, this is my perspective on it.
Yep, it's official. The trade deadline has passed, and Kareem Hunt does remain on the Cleveland Browns.
All right, so he is a Cleveland Brown. So my thought on this is he was a guy that you couldn't rely on him to catch a 50-50 ball to save his life. That's the reason why you brought him in. I mean, for God's sakes, he had comparisons to Calvin Johnson coming out of college. He had all the physical tools to be an absolute monster in the NFL. You remember how A.J. Brown was just on Sunday? And how he was just able to go and make plays? That's kind of how they thought that Chase Claypool could be, and that wasn't the case. You couldn't rely on him to to really go and make a 50-50 ball. He wasn't the vertical threat that you thought he was going to be. You weren't going to pay for him, especially there was a reason why you drafted George Pickens in the second round, and in the fifth round you got Calvin Austin. Now, obviously, he's on IR for the year. He will not play due to a foot injury, but he's a guy that could blow the top off a defense. So I get why you trade him, and it's the fact that you were able to get the Bears to overpay and give them their own original second round pick, not the second round pick that you got from the Baltimore Ravens, but your own original second round pick. That is crucial because now that could be 10 to 15 spots higher, and that really helps out with this rebuild because now you get possibly a top whatever pick. Right now, according to Tankathon, the Steelers have the 4th overall pick, and then you go and possibly have yourself a top whatever pick in the second round. Now that's where you could really go and get some impact players for this ball club because that is what is needed right now. Obviously, you think that you have the franchise in Kenny Pickett. He has not looked that great right now. Now, obviously, I am waiting for Matt Canada to get his ass canned. However, TJ Watt's going to be coming back. I'll be very interested to see maybe what they do with Alex Highsmith over. Do they try to keep him in the offseason and just let him walk after? Because there's rumblings about maybe going for Will Anderson. What about Paris Johnson? There's different avenues that you can go. So I'm going to be very curious to see what they do over the course. But for me as a Steeler fan, I was very happy with the compensation that we got for Chase Claypool, a guy that we were not going to re-sign whatsoever.
Yeah, it looks like they're saying that the Browns wanted a 4 for Kareem on it, and they could not. I guess they couldn't get that for him.
Which, here's the thing. There was only a select few teams that I could truly see giving a 4th for Kareem Hunt, and it had to be a contender, and B, it had to be a team that you knew that they were going to re-sign. That's why I thought the Bills would be a true team, because now imagine how dynamic that can be when you have Kareem Hunt in the backfield, a guy that can run very hard and is a threat in the backfield catching passes. Now that adds just a different dynamic, because there's a difference between Devin Singletary and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt maybe isn't the player that he was in 2017 with the Chiefs, but damn, he is still a very good running back. And for the Browns, if you're going to re-sign him, then okay, that's fine. But if you're not going to re-sign him, which I don't think they're going to, simply because I don't think I don't think they would have drafted Jerome Ford in the 5th round, because
right,
especially when you're paying Nick Chubb all the money, and it's not for what he's been doing for the Browns. The contract that he got is not that much compared to the impact he's going to have. And so that's kind of my thing with it when it comes to this. I don't see them re-signing it. And another part of the deadline too is Brandon Cooks is staying in Houston, and he does not look happy about it at all. Just tweeted 2 minutes ago, "Don't take a man's kindness for granted. Covered for the lies for too long. Those days are done. Cross the line playing with my career." So, not sure what that means for Brandon Cook, but it doesn't look like he's happy to be with Houston. I wonder if they maybe work something out. Maybe he doesn't play the rest of the year. Yeah, that was another trade. Which I truly thought, Brandon. I truly thought in reality, how surprised are you maybe that Green Bay didn't maybe go after a receiver for Aaron Rodgers? Because I can see both sides. I can see where someone says,
"Are you?" Let me ask you: Are you surprised? Because I'm not one bit.
I can see both sides of it. I can see why you're not, because you're 3-5 and you feel like you may not be doing that much this year. Or B, maybe I am, because you still have Aaron Rodgers and you still want to go for it. And if you're going to go for it, you might as well try to go and get someone. But I can understand if they didn't want to go and trade a second for Chase Claypool, or whatever the price tag was going to be for Brandon Cooks.
That's the thing, though. And we talked about this earlier when talking about, how active teams have been at the deadline, is that there's a lot of parity in the NFL this year. I mean, the Packers, yes, they're 3-5, but the Packers could still easily make the playoffs. The thing is, I don't understand from Green Bay's point of view is okay, you don't have that number one wide receiver. You have a committee of receivers that are average or below average. You need to go out and make a move because anything's possible when you have a great quarterback in the NFL. You have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And he's tried to make the most of what he has. Sure, the numbers don't say it, the stats don't say it. But if you look at the film, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has played very good football this year. And the thing is with the Packers not going out and getting a wide receiver, it kind of almost makes it look like they're giving up. And they're just like, okay, we'll see what, these guys do in the second half of the year. But, other than that, we're fine with where we're at. And that kind of bothers me. Because when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers and you're rolling out, Romeo Dobbs, no shot at Romeo Dobbs, but you're rolling out Romeo Dobbs or Alan Lazard as your wide receiver one with Aaron Rodgers, that's kind of piss poor to me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, right now, your best receiver is Alan Lazard. He has 26 receptions for 340 yards and 4 tutties. I mean, yeah, it's not surprising, but at the end of the day, I think you really try to go and make a push as best as you can for when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. And I was just real quick, I was looking at our group chat here, and I'm sorry that we continuously go back to this, but and this happened to us last night. Me and Hunter were both on the same page during a certain play in that Browns-Bengals game. You and me were on the same page, and it seems like you and me are kind of on the same page here, where we're getting called stupid for saying that we thought that Kareem Hunt should have been traded. Okay, here we go. So here is the compensation for the Nyheim Hines trade. So Nyheim Hines is going to the Bills. The Colts are going to get back running back Zach Moss and a conditional 6th round pick.
Yeah, I saw Zach Moss was heading there. Dane Brugler just tweeted, teams currently with multiple first-round picks in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Eagles all have multiple first-round picks. Teams currently with no first-round picks include the Browns, the Saints, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Dolphins. So when you look at that, I mean, there were no really first-round picks moved today besides the Miami and Denver trade. So now Miami is added to that list. Denver, who didn't have a first-round pick after trading it for Russell Wilson, hops back into the first round. So
Which
yeah,
right now it looks like that Denver. So wait, hold on, I'm confused here because it's saying here that Denver has the 20th pick from San Fran. When did that come?
that the San Fran, they got that from Miami, I believe. I think that was
Okay.
a pick Miami traded to
And it's ironic because the
Denver.
Miami had their first round pick forfeited this year, for next year. So right now that would have been the 24th overall pick. So right now the way that things are going, according to Tankathon.com, it looks like right now the top 10 would be Detroit, Houston, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, the Vegas Raiders, the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Philadelphia Eagles, which was originally the New Orleans Saints pick, the Houston Texans, which was originally the Cleveland pick, and Seattle, which was originally the Denver pick. So that is right now what the top 10 is looking like. But kind of going back more.
Well, it looks like another NFL star has commented on Brandon Cook's tweet about Houston playing with his career and wanting out of Houston. And
was it DeAndre Hopkins?
No, that's Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson.
Well, see, I can't say anything. He has me blocked, so.
Yeah.
Just
he put the yelling emoji with 3 periods and then the 2 exclamation marks emoji. So it looks like Watson's kind of echoing what Cook says. Or maybe that he's trying to make Brandon Cooks a Cleveland Brown. But
which,
yeah,
I mean, do you blame him?
Dude, of course. Could you imagine Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Mid.
I mean, and here's the thing, and a lot of people, I hear a lot of people, I'm going to go off script here talking about the Browns real quick. A lot of people say, well, we have enough problems on defense. Deshaun Watson's not going to solve all of them, which is correct. But I'll tell you what, Deshaun Watson makes this team so much better. And I give Jacoby Brissett all the credit in the world. Jacoby Brissett has been awesome for the most part. But Deshaun Watson takes this team to another element and to another stratosphere and makes them that much better. I don't think it's too far off to say that say the Browns maybe get another wide receiver. Say they can bring in a Brandon Cooks or a Will Fuller or something like that. The Browns could have the best offense in the NFL. Talent-wise and on paper. Of course, yes, it's a completely different thing putting that to use on the field. But I mean, they're a talent, and also I want to give credit where it's due to this Browns defense. The last 2 weeks, they have been tremendous. They played well against Lamar Jackson. They played amazing against Joe Burrow last night. Could this possibly be a trend? Because all I'm saying is, if they play like they've played the last 2 weeks consistently for the rest of the year, and they get Deshaun Watson back, why can't the Cleveland Browns make a playoff run?
Because the last time we saw Deshaun Watson was against the Jags, and he went 1 for 5 for 7 yards. Yeah, he's not good.
Okay, in a preseason game.
I'm kidding, guys. Obviously, that was a preseason. I just wanted to get Hunter going for a second.
Well, it almost worked.
I find a way to strike nerves with you guys. Seems like I find a way to strike nerves at Browns fans. Seems like I somehow find a way to do it every time. But going back to some more of the deals that happened throughout the day. So then obviously the Chase Claypool deal happened. First off, let me get from your perspective, from a division rival's perspective, what was your initial thought on that deal?
I like the deal for both sides. I think, hold on, did I get something? No, the Packers, Rams, and Bucks all stayed put. No trades for 3 teams needing a boost in the NFC. And the Rams, I thought were going to trade for Kareem Hunt. So I thought,
Justin says, I almost pulled a Daniel on the airplane. If you know, you know.
Oh, my gosh. What were we talking about again?
What your thoughts about Chase Claypool to the Bears?
I think when you look at Claypool, I think you look at a guy who has all the potential in the world. And, he's a monster. We saw that his rookie year. I mean, he played really well his rookie year. Like you said, I mean, we've talked about this, texting, and on our calls saying, he doesn't put his whole frame to use. But I mean, if he did, I think he'd be an unbelievable player, and the talent's there. I like this move for both sides because you get Justin Fields some help. Maybe you think you can unleash Claypool's potential in Chicago. And then on the other end for Pittsburgh, you get a 2nd-round pick back for a guy who, to be honest with you, I don't think is worth it. Sure, like I said, the upside's there, the potential's there, but when it comes to production, besides his rookie year, I don't think he's worth the 2nd-round pick. And getting a high 2nd-round pick back for Chase Claypool for a guy who was replaced by George Pickens is something that I think is a good move for Pittsburgh. But again, I kind of like it for both sides, depending on what he does in Chicago.
Right. Justin says here he's got potential, but he needs to grow the F up. The one thing I will say, and yes, the potential is still there, and I think that's why that's why they traded for him, is because he still has the potential to be an absolute amazing wide receiver. But I will say there's definitely been a little bit more of a maturity thing with him this year. He's matured more, but yes, obviously you would still like to see him mature a little bit more throughout. But overall, I can't wait to get my reaction, or get the reaction from Caleb and Justin this Thursday, or from Caleb and Jared this Thursday, 6 p.m. here on the Renegade Roundtable.
No, not Justin. Not Justin.
We know how that would go. Then the next big deal that happened was obviously Bradley Chubb going to the Dolphins, which was for a 1st-round pick. So Miami got a 2023 first round pick, a 2024 fourth, and Chase Edmonds in exchange for Bradley Chubb and a 2025 fifth round pick. So Miami, they're going for it. They said, you know what, we're going for it, and we're gonna pair him up opposite of Jalen Phillips. You know how I feel about Jalen Phillips. I made a guarantee that said that he would be a Pro Bowler within 3 years, and we'll see. And here goes Parker. Here goes Parker.
My brother. What an unbelievable human being. I think when you really look at it,
what's ironic too is
I actually don't like this trade as much as most people do for Miami, because here's the thing. Miami's front has been very good this year regardless. They have been very good at putting pressure on the quarterback, stopping the run. Miami's front four or front three, I can't remember, have been very good this year. Now, yes, they only have 15 sacks on the year. They needed that some more up front. I mean, Bradley Chubb brings that, but for a first round pick, obviously that's going to be the price for the caliber of a player like Bradley Chubb. But I don't know. I just don't know if it was totally worth it for Miami. I do like him and Jalen Phillips out on the edge, though. I mean, it is going to cause havoc for teams in the AFC, and of course the Browns have to play them off the bye in 2 weeks. So we'll see about that. And I don't know. I just think.
I mean, yeah, you're trading a lot. And on top of that, you got to re-sign him too.
Right, and it did say the Dolphins are working towards a long-term deal with him. So it looks like they're going to be. It looks like it's gonna happen, but
the question is, when you look at it, I mean, how much is he actually going to be worth? Because so you look at his rookie year, he had a great year: 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. I mean, and then on top of that, then after that, 2019 he only played 4 games. 2020 he played 14 games. And then last year, he only played 7 games. And then this year, obviously, he's played in all 8. But so you always hear my thing, the best ability is availability. And so far, you've kind of seen a little bit of inconsistency of when he's able to play, of him playing when he doesn't. I just don't know how much he personally is going to be worth whatever money that they're going to have to give up for him.
Yeah. I think too, like I said, it's not taken away from the caliber of player that Bradley Chubb is. Bradley Chubb is a very, very good player. Too. Yeah, and he's young, but I don't know. Again, it just shows that Miami's really going for this thing. I mean, Miami really thinks they're a contender. And to be honest with you, if Tua can stay healthy, I think they can be. It'll be interesting to see. I think, kind of in the AFC where that lies. I mean, it's going to be hard, obviously. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is still here. Josh Allen and the Bills have been unstoppable, it seems, so far. But, I mean, Miami does have the hand them their one loss on the year. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, Justin Herbert, the Chargers haven't been as good as we thought they would be. They've dealt with a ton of injuries. The Patriots kind of took a step back like we thought they would. The AFC North has kind of been a little clumpy. I think the Ravens, are going to come out of that, though.
Oh, yeah, they're good. It seems like right now they're easily going to win the division.
Yeah, and but I mean, Miami, I tell you what, Miami has some key wins this year. I mean, they beat Baltimore. They've beat Buffalo. I mean, they have the wins there. They have what they need, and I think they can make a run at this thing, and I think they believe they can too, and that's why they made this trade. But it'll be interesting to see as the rest of the year plays out, mm-hmm. because like I've mentioned before, I mean, the NFL is so wide open right now that a lot of things can happen, and it'll be interesting to see.
What's ironic is we talk about the Dolphins. They had gotten 3 first-round picks back in the 49ers deal when they went up to get Trey Lance. All of them are gone. They traded they traded a pick for Jalen, or to trade up to get Jalen Waddle. This year they traded a first for the Chiefs to get Tyreek Hill, and now they traded for next year's first round pick for Bradley Chubb. So
And those are three players right there that are very worth trading first round picks for.
two of the three for sure. One of them is still questionable.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Then another small trade, the 49ers are trading Jeff Wilson, running back, to Miami. So Miami back-to-back deals. They went and got themselves a running back, which, I mean, was another team that we thought maybe Kareem Hunt would go to. But the 49ers ended up getting a 2023 fifth-round pick for him. So it's...
Oh, a deal that beat the buzzer. A new trade has just gone down. The Chiefs have traded cornerback Rashad Fenton to the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. So that's
it says the Chiefs have gotten really good play out of their rookie corners as Fenton was recently replaced in the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, honestly. Interesting trade for them. I mean, obviously, we all know, and we're getting to the Falcons. They traded away Calvin Ridley. We'll talk about that here shortly. But, I mean, it's an interesting deal. So, yeah, and that's a situation where it is 4:28 right now, and obviously we had it, or 4:23 right now Eastern time, and a deal just got announced. So we're waiting. You know, we may have another one, maybe, that beat the buzzer. We'll see. But other than that, really, then the next deal, what ended up actually being the Calvin Ridley deal, being traded to the Jaguars. And then what was the compensation? Okay, the Falcons got a 2023 fifth-round pick and a conditional 2024 fourth that can rise. So let's see. It could be if it stays at 4. If it stays at 4 if Calvin Ridley is on the roster, it goes to a 3 if Ridley reaches certain incentives, and it becomes a 2 if the Jags sign Ridley to a contract extension. And Daniel says Bradley Chubb to Miami pisses me off.
Well, everything pisses you off or makes you cry or makes you shit the bed. I mean, neither. I don't know.
And then he says, "At Justin, chill." So, well, wait, why does that piss you off?
Because Miami just gets better, and Daniel wanted the Browns to do something.
Yeah, which let me ask you this: the Browns did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
So that means Jack Conklin staying. That means Greedy Williams stays. Kareem Hunt stays. Those are 3 guys that were rumored to possibly go in a trade. I mean, I know obviously Daniel wanted a guy like Daron Payne, who ended up not going. He stayed in Washington. So, I mean, are you surprised by them doing absolutely nothing?
Not at all. I think, when you look at, what the Browns, it's tough because I kind of always have thought the Browns were, even at the beginning of this year, we're looking ahead to next year, just based off the Deshaun Watson suspension, especially when his suspension got, extended to 11 games. So, and especially being at the place they're at now, they're 3-5, they're third in the division. There's not much for them to do. You don't want to trade for a guy like Daron Payne. Because he's going to be a rental. They're not going to pay a D tackle, a bunch of money. Especially, I mean, the Watson contract kicks in next year. The Browns only have $9 million in cap space. So I think when you really look at it, I think I'm not surprised at all. If anything, I think I'm kind of surprised they didn't offload Kareem, Greedy, or Jack Conklin, because I think it's kind of unrealistic that any of those 3 will be back next year.
Which I was going to say, Conklin is a guy that's interesting because obviously before he got hurt, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he was playing very well.
Oh, he's playing unbelievable. He was
But
playing amazing. Jack Conklin was a good free agent signing for the Browns. I
one
mean,
of the
he's
few,
been
I think,
very
one of the
good.
few good ones for Andrew
Yeah.
Berry, because there was some that were very EEB.
Yeah, and Jack Conklin, like I said, has been a good free agent signing. But again, with the way the Browns develop offensive linemen, and obviously Bill Callahan is awesome. James Hudson really in the first couple games of the year played very, very well, and I think that made the decision that much easier for the Browns to say, okay, James can step into um, step into Conklin's role next year and be able to fill it without having to give Conklin a new contract because Conklin's just getting older as well. So you don't want to sign him to a long term deal. And we know his injury history. He's had some issues. When he's healthy, he is a terrific player. But you don't want to gamble on a guy like that
Conklin is
when you
28.
have when you have the depth to replace him. And like I said, James Hudson, has shown flashes earlier in the year and has played very well. So I think, especially with Deshaun Watson's contract kicking in next year, I think you try to save money in as many places as you can. With that, Kareem Hunt being one of those places, Greedy Williams obviously as well, and I think Conklin again. But I think they're also in a tough spot because I think them winning last night kind of
But
hurt
maybe
them.
change their mindset a little bit more of when you say you're 3-5 and you're
You're like,
not
okay, we
fully out
might,
of it. I mean, now it
right?
sucks that now you do have a win over Cincinnati, so that helps you out there. But in reality, you're 3 games out from the division in terms of Baltimore because they have a game against you so far. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, you having a win over Cincinnati helps. So now they're 4-4. But in reality, if the next time you guys are obviously what you guys as of right now have the tiebreaker against them, I mean it does
yeah,
change your mindset a little bit more, especially knowing that you have Deshaun Watson coming back here in low over a month.
yeah. And I mean, if you really look at it right now, I mean, if the playoffs started today, I mean, the Browns are still 4 seeds out. I mean, they're 2 games out of the playoffs right now, and being 3-5, I mean,
However, I think the part that does hurt you is the fact that you look at it now. You have Miami to play, so you look at like say the 5, 6, 5 through whatever seeds. You guys have a loss against the Jets, a loss, or actually we don't know yet about the Dolphins. You guys will play them. A loss
yeah,
against the
that loss
Chargers,
that loss against the Jets is going to come back and haunt us.
and a loss to the Patriots. So those are, I think
That's going
that's,
to haunt us as well.
I think just having those losses. I mean, 3 of those losses are teams that are ahead of you in standings. That and for the wild card, that is really what hurts you. Now, unless you
Yeah,
have like what Baltimore happened to them last year, where they started off 8-3 and then they just tumbled.
right.
Unless you have something like that, and if Cincinnati continues to play like they did yesterday, I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing for
Oh,
them to
we got
look
another
at.
trade.
You said what?
The Bills have acquired safety Dean Marlowe from the Atlanta Falcons in exchange for a seventh-round pick. So another buzzer beater trade.
I was gonna say. So there you go. We have at least one more. Um, so Daniel says it pisses me off because the D tackle is poop, but I like the 4 DNs on the line more, please. Then he says he thinks he'll win 2 of the next 3 respectfully, because of
Well,
course with him everything is respectfully.
well, arguably the NFL's most dangerous team just got even more dangerous. The Buffalo Bills have activated Tre'Davious White off the physically unable to perform list. So the star corner out in Buffalo will be returning very
And
shortly.
they've been
And
getting some very good play out of their defense as well. And now you add Tre'Davious White back. Whew. Real quick, saying that Daniel thinks you guys will win the 2 of your next 3. Your next 2 out of your next 3 is at Miami, at Buffalo, and then at home versus Tampa.
yeah, and another thing, free agent linebacker Camus Grieger-Hill, the former Houston Texan who led the Texans in tackles last year, is signing with the Arizona Cardinals. So there's a trade deadline signing. He got released by Houston last week. So Arizona filling a void at the linebacker position.
Um,
Um,
let's see. And then what else was there? What other deals do we have to discuss? We talked a little bit about Calvin Ridley. Other than that, I mean, Naheem Hines going to the Bills. That one we discussed on. We got that one live. Um, Other than that, Jordan Lamb says Hunter Oz, and he gives you a bunch of hard eye emojis.
my guy, my guy, Jordan.
Shout out to Jordan.
That's the
Appreciate,
homie right there.
hey, appreciate you coming on, even
That's
if
my
it's just
son.
to support Hunter. We're okay with that here.
That's my son. But
But
yeah, no, I mean, Naheem Hines is going to be interesting for Buffalo as well. I mean, it gives them that receiving threat out of the backfield. Um, I mean, Devin Singletary has improved as a runner. But I mean, Zach Moss wasn't what they thought he was going to be when they drafted him. Um, Naheem Hines has been, overshadowed the last couple of years, whether it was Marlon Mack having a stretch of good games and obviously Jonathan Taylor. So I like Naheem Hines kind of getting out of there, getting to be the true receiving back in Buffalo, where, I mean, he should get plenty of opportunity there in that offense. So I like the move for Buffalo. It kind of seemed like this was a move that was kind of stemming for a while now. I know in the offseason there had been reports of Buffalo being interested in him, even in the early weeks of the season as well. So a deal that kind of been lingering for a while finally gets done. I do like that trade for Buffalo. Kind of just another minor move that hopefully can make a big difference for them. Hopefully for them making a Super Bowl run. So yeah, I mean, I think another thing too. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I think another thing that surprised me too are those teams like the Packers, the Bucks, or even the Rams surprised me the most. Not really making any trades
Especially
today.
Cooper Cup being he got hurt.
It kind of almost makes me wonder. I think another thing too, teams are kind of like those three teams specifically could potentially be looking out for is maybe the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. Should be returning soon from his ACL tear last year. I don't think the Bucks are realistic, but I mean, you look at the Rams, obviously. He winning the Super Bowl with Odell last year, and they want him back. I mean, it's obvious, but I mean, he's felt lowballed by those offers. And the Packers, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has expressed how much he wants to play with Odell, and he would step in right away and be wide receiver one in Green Bay.
And on top of the thing, your father commented he missed my Claypool take. He wants my thoughts. Well, as soon as we get done with this, I got you. I'll reiterate my thought on that. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and he's been tweeting a lot about Buffalo, so he has the pick of the litter.
I think he ends up in Buffalo.
And him and Stephon Diggs with Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox.
I mean,
oh my god!
And of course, Josh Allen as well. I mean, it's going to be scary. I mean, they're very. I mean, Odell's just ring chasing at this point. I mean, I don't blame him, but that's what he's doing. So, but yeah, I mean, when you look at those teams, I mean, it was revealed today that the Rams were the team that offered 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns.
Which
if you're Carolina, I would have taken it. I would have taken it.
Because here's my thing: you get one of those picks, unless you're real. I mean, you're gonna go after a quarterback here. I mean, if you get another first-round pick, there's got to be a pass rusher so that you could go after later on that you can go and get. And now, maybe I understand that they want to go with the guy that they know what they have versus the potential of a draft pick. I get that possibly, but 2 firsts.
Well, and here's the thing about the Rams too, is that the Rams in 2024, 2025, I mean, that's 3 years from now. I'll be honest with you. I don't expect the Rams to be that good 3 years from now. I think Matthew Stafford in 3 years is going to be old. He has that lingering elbow issue. Aaron Donald is not going to be around in 3 years. He will be retired most likely. The offensive line is not good. Of course, we know a lot can change in 3 years. I mean, they could still be good and they still can make other moves to be good. But if you're looking at this from a right now standpoint, what do they have? What could you say? Okay, look into the future for 3 years and say, okay, what do they have that can make them a very good team in 3 years? I mean, there is a decent possibility, just looking at their team right now, that those two picks could be top 10 picks in 2 3 years, and you could have got two top 10 picks for Brian Burns. But then at the same time, Brian Burns is a hell of a player, and who knows if either of those picks turn out to be something like Brian Burns.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess it's both sides, and that's the thing about trading is you have to kind of take a gamble, and kind of look at it. But from my point of view, I would have taken the trade. I don't think the Rams are going to be a contender, playoff caliber team in a couple of
Definitely
years,
not
just based
contender of
just based off where they're trending right now. So yeah, I mean, I would have taken the deal. It didn't seem like any other team really offered that much for Brian Burns. It was just the Rams trying to make a splash. But I think the Rams also have bigger problems than trying to get Brian Burns too. I think they could have done something for their offense.
maybe try to go after someone on their offensive line.
Offensive line. I think they could have made another acquisition at receiver with how disappointing Allen Robinson has been, or even running back. I know Kareem Hunt was mentioned as a possibility for them with the disappointment of Cam Akers. I mean, their offense is not good right now. I mean, let's just face it. Outside of Cooper Kupp, I mean, they do not have an offense. Excuse me, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would have taken the deal, but to each their own. And I think it also says a lot about the Rams too, saying here, take our picks and give us Brian Burns as kind of like a last ditch effort to save the dynasty, to make a potential dynasty out west there. But I mean, who knows? I mean, we've seen that the Rams don't really give a shit about their picks. We've seen that in the years past. Jalen Ramsey,
Jared Goff.
there's Jared Goff. I think, I don't know. I think that they, I don't know. I would have taken it, but.
All right, so real quick, I do want to get to this because your father asked about my Claypool take. I'll reiterate it. For me, I was happy about the deal because you got Chicago's original second-round pick, which is going to be probably 10 to 15 spots higher than Baltimore's second-round pick that they got, or if the one that Baltimore just sent out for Roquan Smith. And at the end of the day, he was a guy that you couldn't rely on him to catch a deep ball, which is contested ball. And almost my question was, it seemed like that maybe he wanted out or his camp wanted out. And if that was the case, he got what he wanted, it works out for both sides. Justin Fields gets a guy that, they're trying to add more to help him out, which is obviously me both being Ohio State fans. We all love that. We want to see Justin Fields be good. So you add a guy like that, and then Pittsburgh, you're this truly saying that you're in a rebuild mode, and which is okay. Every team has to go through it. And at the end of the day, you go and you acquire a good pick. So now you have two, maybe top, let's say 37 picks. One of them, right now, you have the 4th overall pick. So you get that, and then a top pick in the second round, plus your own original second round pick. Now you're talking. Now you have the ability. Because here's what's interesting about this, and this is a part that I have not mentioned yet. Apparently, the Cowboys waived a defensive tackle, and Daniel's just
I saw that.
Andy Weidel is now with the Steelers organization. He was a guy that had a big part of building the Philadelphia Eagles team that is currently 7-0 right now. If you are Omar Khan, you need to let Andy Weidel go and really have his fingers in the draft process if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because you saw what Philadelphia is like right now, that you have a guy in your organization that helped build that. So you do what you have to do. You let him be a part of the draft process, and you go from there. And that's really all I got to say about that. What defensive tackle was waived?
That was Tristan Hill.
Oh, okay. And then Daniel says he thinks OBJ goes back to New York. And then Jordan says
No.
Diggs and Odell, or Diggs with Odell would be insane.
Yeah, Diggs and Odell would be. I'm sorry. Look at the group chat, but
Oh no.
yeah, I mean Diggs and Odell would be insane. I tell you what, it'd be insane too if Odell went to Kansas City. Um,
Okay, so Adam Schefter tweeted there were a record 10 trades made today, the most ever made on an NFL trade deadline day.
Did you see what Parker just said?
Yeah. Jesus. Things that will not be said on his airwave right now, but Jesus Christ, they're just going. Oh my goodness gracious! But
oh
yeah.
my God!
And then here's another trade that we didn't talk about yet. That happened. It didn't happen today, but it did happen recently. Was the Eagles going out and acquiring Robert Quinn, which
yeah, that was huge.
Which again, you look at it. Jordan Davis is out now. Do we have we gotten an injury update on Jordan Davis?
I believe they said it was a high ankle sprain. He's going to miss some time, I believe.
Okay.
I believe they said, I believe a couple weeks. I could be wrong.
All right.
But I did see he sprained his ankle.
So yeah, you have that. So you at some point he will come back. Now you have Robert Quinn, and then on top of that, you got Brandon Graham. You still have Fletcher Cox. That is a lethal defensive line, and to add a guy like that. That's really Philadelphia going for it, and I don't blame them whatsoever. Right now, you have the best record in the National Football League. You're undefeated. Your quarterback has made a tremendous step up. They're playing very well. Their offense is very infuriating to play. I love the cornerback core for Philadelphia. C.J. Gardner Johnson, Darius Slay, Bradbury. You love what that defense has done for them. So that's, I mean, they're...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny now when you look at it. I think teams, will sell their soul for one Super Bowl. I mean, they will do whatever they can when they're in a position to win like that. I don't blame them. I think,
and
Philly...
that was kind of my thought. I remember right after the Super Bowl this year when the Rams won the Super Bowl, it made me think to myself, I'm wondering if this is going to start turning into a trend where you'll see more teams basically say bleep them picks and trying to go out and acquire guys to win a Super Bowl right now over, and that was kind of my thing because the Rams, they had the philosophy of we're going to trade picks of potential players for guys that we know what they are. We know that we knew what Jalen Ramsey was. We knew what... I mean, they went out and got Von Miller last year. So they knew what Von Miller was. They knew what Matthew Stafford was. So, are they still going at it?
Yes. And it's unbelievable. But, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too, is like the Rams are the perfect example, of saying, like you said, bleep those picks. And the Eagles, I'll tell you what, I think Howie Roseman, is that his name?
Yeah, Howie Roseman.
Howie Roseman's the best general manager in the NFL. I truly think that. Just the way he's able to swing these deals, but I mean, it's like he makes great deals though. Like he knows what he's doing. And Robert Quinn, AJ Brown. I mean, I wish I could get it out. I mean, remember when they drafted Jalen Hurts? We all bashed him. What are you doing drafting a quarterback in the second round when you have Carson Wentz? I mean, look what it's turned out to. Jalen Hurts is looking like a franchise quarterback right now. While
and then
Carson
on top
Wentz
of that, they went and traded for AJ Brown. They got Devontae Smith. So, I mean, yeah, you gotta love what they're doing, and I'm not even gonna look and see.
Yeah, you know what? I'm done picking it up till after because they're just making me laugh, and it's terrible. But yeah, I mean, I think. I set it down, and right as I set it down, another one went off, and I looked at it, and I'm just like, dude,
you just gotta turn your phone over.
I know I have to. I'm going to do that. But yeah, I think all in all, just as a whole for the trade deadline, it was a very successful one. We saw a lot of big name players move. It was fun. It was very fun. I'm actually about to go play Madden after this and just absolutely, go bonkers and just kind of look at the teams and see where everyone stacks up now. And just to piss you off, I'm going to make Chase Claypool a 99 overall and have him become an All-Pro wide receiver. And so, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I think it was a successful trade deadline, and I think our teams both did things that we thought they were going to do. For me, I didn't think the Browns were going to do anything, and they didn't. And for you, I think the only thing you thought they would do was trade Claypool, and that's what they did. And they went out and got some secondary help.
I'll say they went and got William Jackson, which was for a 2025 conditional seventh or something, or conditional sixth. So whatever. But yeah, I think the only thing, and this was the part that kind of irritated. Oh yeah, by the way, the Steelers used the 49th overall pick on Chase Claypool, and they got a pick that's definitely going to be better than pick 49. So you want to talk about very good value? You got good value.
Absolutely.
The only part that really, really pissed me off throughout the week in the weekend about the Steelers and Steeler Twitter is the thought idea. There was a question that got brought up of, do you trade Cam Hayward?
No. Why? Why trade Cam Hayward?
Because here was the explanation. In fact, here, let me pull up a tweet here exactly. This is from my man Donnie Football. Let me pull him up here, or let me read out because he had a tweet today.
This is interesting.
Which is what?
The Texans and Cowboys discussed the Brandon Cooks trade, but couldn't finalize it right before the deadline.
Huh. All right, here, let me find this tweet.
Why did I pick it up?
Yeah, I'm not.
Good. Please don't.
I'll say I just have my laptop here, so I don't need to. Where the hell is this tweet at? Okay, here we go. So someone asked, would you trade Cam Hayward for a first-round pick? And he said, the answer is yes. Cam is 33 and is still playing at a high level. If you could get a first-round pick for a defensive lineman in his mid-30s, that's a no-brainer. To top it off, Cam is the first player on this roster that deserves a ring. Send him to a winner and let him get it. I mean,
how old's Cam Hayward?
33.
Would you trade him for a first-round pick?
It depends on where the first-round pick would be. Because now it would probably end up, in that case, go to a contender. I don't know, because emotionally we all love those guys. We love Cam Hayward. But for me, I would like to see them go maybe a little bit younger interior.
Yeah.
You got DeMarvin Leal, who was out, but before that he was playing pretty well. Tyson Alualu, he's not doing anything for me anymore. I mean, you got Montravius Adams, cool. Chris Wormley, cool. I would maybe like to see them go a little bit younger on that defensive line. But it's kind of like a baseball analogy for us. We have, for us with the Guardians, we have emotional attachments to guys, and then when we trade them away, it sucks. But then when you get what you get back in return, it's like, okay. Like, if you traded away Cam Hayward for a first-round pick, and that first-round pick you used him, and that ends up becoming a hit, and it becomes a great player, okay, well, now you don't feel as bad, and you got younger. But other than that, I don't know. It's a touchy subject. I don't know. It's a weird thing for me. But other than that, we've gone on a little. We've been on for a little bit over an hour. We still got 4 people on with us, which I appreciate you a ton. I do want to say, let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on what happened in the trade deadline? Were you guys surprised? What was your biggest surprise about it? Let me know. Just what were your overall thoughts about it, about this trade deadline? which apparently was record breaking. Are you still looking at the group chat?
No, I'm what's it called?
All right, I just took a peep for a half a second, and I'll read that later. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's not really much else to discuss unless you got something else you want to get off your chest or anything. I mean, for me,
No, I don't think so, man.
I think other than that, Dan said my thoughts are that the Bears think Claypool is worth the second round pick. He's awful. I don't know. I would say he's awful, but I mean,
Claypool's not awful at all.
I'll gladly take that second. I'd have been okay even with the Baltimore second round pick, but their original second round pick, yeah, I'll take that all day long. I will take that all day long. But I mean, other than that, I think that's kind of about it. It was a very crazy trade deadline, honestly. I'm very excited for it to see what happens throughout the stretch. Obviously, both of our teams have buys this week, which for me, I will gladly take a week off from the Steelers because, my God, I mean, it is, ooh, boy, he be. But other than that, I think if that's everything, I think we are going to get on out of here. Do want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you haven't yet, smash that like button, hit the rest subscribe button. We're close to hitting 600 subs, so please go and hit the rest subscribe button. And you got any final comments?
No, it was a fun deadline. Like to see how it shapes out the rest of the year.
Also, if you want, you can go follow Hunter at Hunt24__.
Yeah, if you want.
I wouldn't recommend it though. I mean,
I wouldn't either, to be quite honest with you.
If you want, you can also go follow me too at Jeff_Kirby412, and I would highly recommend. But until then, up to you guys in the next live stream or the next video. Stay safe. Have a great week. Oh boy, the NFL is back at it again. Peace out.
Go Browns.
Roll Tide.